Thank you for joining us at Grateful Gratitude with LoLo and Lexi. We are practicing gratitude girls that strive every day to recognize and celebrate our blessings. We are a mother and daughter that practice gratitude every day and put God in the center of our life. The only way to live a blessed and happy life is to be grateful. May you feel God's love and blessing each and every day.
All right, it is time for another episode of Grateful Gratitude. Lolo and Lexi. We're without Lexi.
We're without Lexi, but we're with Roz Booker today.
Yes, hello there.
Hello. And now you guys have some experience together now.
We do.
We had an event.
Yes, we did. We did a great Mother's Day event, and I don't know why God brought us together, but man, it's been an amazing ride with Roz, and we had an outstanding event. I mean, we had more tears of joy, tears of bonding and hugs. It was amazing.
It was. The women were so blessed, and I was too.
Oh, I tell you what, I think everybody in that room kind of, I don't know, I feel so much closer to people I didn't even know.
We gelled.
It was awesome.
Yes.
So what we were going to do today, Mark, is talk a little bit about what we talked about that day. I talked about unconditional love, and then Roz kind of played into how grace is important with unconditional love.
Yeah.
And I know we've done a podcast, so I'm just going to briefly say that when you offer unconditional love, like God gives us all the time, that means there's no judgment, there's no offensiveness. It's just you come from a good place and you accept just as things are.
Right.
And you forgive. You don't put yourself in a position that you're going to be uncomfortable and hold a grudge or be upset. You're just going to accept the situation and move on.
Exactly.
And that makes things so much better for you and everyone else that you deal with.
And it strengthens your relationship.
Yeah. And there's no point in holding grudges.
Right.
There's no point in being unforgiving because you're just hurting yourself.
Right. You know, it's like a hot air balloon and letting it go.
Right.
Just being able to let that situation or that person go, because it really helps us. It frees us.
Correct. Yeah. And I think too, when someone does something that hurts you, the best thing you can do is forgive yourself for feeling that hurt and just knowing that you're going to have to heal a little bit. Get through that and give grace.
Yes.
And be able to become a stronger person or make the relationship stronger. And I'll let you talk a little bit how to give that grace.
You know, it's amazing because in the workshop, in the Mother's Day event, I talked about how grace being received as an unopened gift is a treasure really not open. Mm-hmm. And how can we really give something away that we have not truly received? And so my experience with grace has been to really open those unopened gifts that Jesus had laid stacked around my heart and actually receive it for myself, so that I could freely give it away. And, grace being given to ourselves is really just being good to ourselves so that we can be good to others. And, in the invitation, I talk about grace. Week 33, it starts with approaching the throne of grace. And, this was cool because I was saying in that workshop that as a kid, I can remember, Lolo, we talked about this, playing Mother May I, Father May I, and how I stood, Mark, at one end of the driveway and my friends stood at the other. And one played the father or the mother, and we'd ask for permission basically to take advancement in steps to the father or the mother. Well, that's how sometimes we are in our lives, waiting on permission to leap into the Father's arms, where, Hebrews 4:16 says that we can just come boldly without permission.
Right.
And that's what grace is.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think I told this story about during my marriage. I mean, Mark gets tired of hearing how wonderful my husband is, but my husband...
She's got a great husband.
I have an amazing husband, and there was a time that I had to go to him and say, I did something wrong, and I'm not proud of it. And I cried all day, and I prayed all day, and I'm like, I'm just going to have to tell him, and I don't know how he's going to react. And basically it was, I had money on a credit card that he didn't know about.
I think I'm going to need some tissue again.
And when I sat there and cried, and he came home, and I said, I got to talk to you. And he said, Okay, and he was very worried. Look, and I said, I did not cheat. I'm not going to jail. It's nothing like that. But I have some debt you don't know about. And I cried again, and I just said, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, we're going to pay it. And we're not going to talk about it again.
Just like that.
And he said, and I said, why? Why are you giving me this grace? And why are you forgiving me so quickly? And he said, because someday I may need that. And I want to extend it now in case I need it later. And at that time, I thought, this man loves me unconditionally, and he just gave me grace. That was the biggest example in my own life. And I'm like, wow, I learned so much from that. And there I was so fearful to tell him for such a long time. And so it truly, it's peace for yourself. It's peace for the relationship.
It is.
Seeing the example I like to use, and you just talked about leaping into the Father's arms, which is great. It's I don't have kids. Lolo knows this.
Yes.
Since I don't have kids, I love giving parental advice or using examples with kids.
Yeah.
I do have a dog, and I've had dogs pretty much all my life.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that my dog could do bad that I wouldn't forgive it for.
Right.
Because... And I'm imagining the same thing with kids. And there's nothing that Lexi could do to get rid of your love for her.
Exactly.
Just think of the worst thing possible. You're still going to love her.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Nothing can separate God's love from us. And that's like a weight off of us to know that there's nothing we can say or do bad enough that's going to make him not love us. We will always be a son. We will always be a daughter, no matter what.
And remember that he forgives you immediately and forgets. It was very much like what my husband said. Okay, I'm going to forgive you. We're going to forget. We're not going to talk. And it was like, well, that's what God does. He doesn't say, I don't love you anymore. He's always there extending grace and love.
He doesn't keep bringing it back up.
Right.
Bringing up our past. I say sometimes we have these watch parties or have friends, family that want us to have these watch parties of old horror DVD movies of our past. And it's like, no, God says it's thrown into a sea of forgetfulness.
Well, and that's the only way to move on.
Right.
And if you're going to forgive, it has to be genuine forgiveness, and it has to be, okay, hey, it's over.
Yeah.
We're not going to bring it up anymore. It's not, and that's really hard to do for a lot of people. But
remember,
I forgot that's on video too now. No, but that's really hard to do for a lot of people. But once you learn to do that, I keep saying it makes your life a whole lot easier.
And it's your normal practice. When you do it, you don't even think about it. It just happens. So,
And like Wes said too, also, one of the first steps I think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, if you think I'm wrong, is that one of the first steps is realizing that you're flawed. I'm flawed. And no matter what mistakes other people make to me.
Yeah. Take the tree out of your own eye.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we all have something.
So before we leave, I would love for you to give us your website and show your book again.
Awesome. Well, The Invitation, My Daily Devotional, is a 52-week devotional, I'd say, of just awesomeness, love, God's grace and acceptance towards us. A lot of people feel, God, where do I start in the Bible? It's like an elephant. How do you eat it? But this book is a collaborative of 51 amazing women from all across the world, and we talk about God's love and acceptance. And what's amazing about it is it's accompanied by scripture.
Right.
The passage, meaning the story or the testimony of how we've triumphed through our trials, and then there's a short prayer. So it's wonderful, and this book can be purchased from my website at rosalindbooker.com. That's ROSALIND Booker.com, and there will be a place for you to purchase this.
Awesome. Thanks, Roz, for being our
welcome.
guest today.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Yeah.